Before this video begins, I just want to mention that this video is not a complaint. I'm in no way complaining about the game, I'm just talking about how it's changed and what I personally did not like about it. The thing is, we have to accept the game for how it is because it's definitely not changing anytime soon, so again, I'm not complaining, I'm just kind of stating the facts and talking about what's happened.
I originally wanted to make a video on this video when it first dropped because of how it portrayed a community very negatively and how necessarily this isn't really an issue with Unturned, and just how what he said later in the video, the problem with the player base and how it changed. But he instead titled his video in such a way where it made it look like it was a bigger issue, and people don't really read past the lines, and people just point to this video as this being the issue.
I love the freedom of being able to choose if I want to loot a city or, gather some resources to survive and build a base. It was entirely up to me. I loved that idea. But it seems like that freedom is pretty much gone. Gone are the days of unturned survival and unturned crafting and, actual hardcore a survival game. It doesn't feel like a survival game anymore, and it feels more like a PvP game.
I completely agree that the community has adopted more of a PvP type of game style, but he makes it sound like that's the only way that he can play in the game, even though that he can definitely go to communities that already exist that have a type of survival aspect to them. They either have ways that benefit survival and instead of incentivizing PvP. There is many servers that in the list that you can find that have player bases that generally like the survival aspect of Unturned.
Moving on to 3.0, the game was polished up and fixed, and it's just a lot more of an enjoyable game now, and it's a lot more fun, but it's not the same, like I said earlier. You don't survive anymore. All there is PvP.
It really depends on what type of servers you play on. If you play on PvP servers, then why would you expect the survival aspect to PvP servers? Like, I don't go on creative to go play, survival.
Pretty much every server is either a kit, warp, TPA, or /home server.
I like how he shows the player list, but 100% all these servers don't have any players on them. If you go look at Unturned right now, 100% you would find these servers and there'd be no one on it.
And gone with the PvP and all that garbage. It's all kits and warps and spawning crap in and PvPing. And again, there's nothing wrong with this. It's just how the community wanted to change. This video isn't to say that there's something wrong with this change. The video is just to say that there is a change, and I'm trying to see if other people notice this as well.
I think a lot of people noticed the change, and after they either saw it, they either adapted or just left to go play other games.
I very rarely see vanilla servers surviving long. Most of the time, they'll have like 14 or 15 players at their peak, and then they crash and nobody plays on them anymore.
I feel like it's either because people get bored of Unturned and they go off and go do something else, or they just don't have enough content to keep them around anymore after a while.
Because everybody would rather have a PvP kit server, like I said. I was thinking about it, and honestly, I feel like the change in this is due to the change in the community.
I feel like Unturned's base content was never enough to sustain a survival aspect of the video game, leading to players going to the PvP system, which is more competitive and more harder to get better at.
Whenever this game launched to 3.0, it went mainstream. Everybody was playing it, everybody enjoyed it. I think even PewDiePie made a video on it at some point.
PewDiePie played Unturned July 11, 2014, and this is the time where Unturned was during its classic era.
But it was, the front page of the Steam store 24/7. Everybody who saw it sees free-to-play survival game, and they instantly hop on the game.
I personally don't believe that's the reason why people played Unturned. I feel like people just saw it looks like a funny, wacky game, and then people just downloaded it and played it because it was a free-to-play game.
And again, there's nothing wrong with this either. I'm just explaining the reasoning behind it. Basically, as all these younger and new people get on the game and start playing this free-to-play survival game, it kind of drove off the old school players. Like, a lot of the people I was friends with in 2.0 don't play this game anymore. I mean, heck, even people who started in early 3.0 don't really play it as much.
People move on. People move to different games. That just happens all the time with people. And I think that's what happened with some of the people that moved over from 2.0 to 3.0. So, yeah.
Because the community is just totally different now. a whole different group of people. A lot of them are younger. No offense if you're younger, I'm just saying. A lot of them are younger and don't know how to be mature and play the game. So instead of trying hard to play the game, they would rather go on a server where they can easily get their items and enjoy it.
This is easily the most stupidest thing that RoboKast has said during this video. He basically calls the entire PvP community young and immature to demean their playstyle, and says that PvP is easy and that survival is hard. Most stupidest thing I've ever heard.
It seems like a lot of new items are being added, but no new mechanics. The only new mechanics I could really think of that have been added are simple things like bullet drop, which was a great addition by the way, but again, focused on PvP.
This was more of a nerf to PvP than necessarily improving upon it. Yes, it did greatly change how PvP worked, but it was a nerf overall.
There was rain, which didn't really do anything.
Rain allowed you to collect water and also allowed you to grow your crops faster when the rain stopped.
The flying mechanic, which has to do with pretty much PvP because every helicopter is in a PvP battle anymore.
Not necessarily true. Unless you're playing creative servers where vehicles are easy to spawn in, then yeah. But generally people don't use their vehicles for PvP, especially their flying vehicles.
Underwater gunplay, which means you can now shoot weapons underwater, which is again for PvP, because there's no reason you need to shoot a gun underwater unless you're PvPing.
I'm pretty sure this update actually nerfed PvP because originally you were able to use primary weapons in the water, and then he changed it so that you can only use secondaries. In the footage you could see that he's only using a secondary, and I'm pretty sure this is the update, but I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
The whole raiding overhaul with like the charges and the grenades and all that was another PvP addition.
To be quite frank, I don't think people really use grenades a lot in PvP situations. They don't really use it. They mostly may use it to make charges for raiding bases, which is something that you said that people don't do. So, I mean, I personally disagree with that. I don't think it is. I think it's more for raiding bases than anything.
But other than these few things, I really can't think of much for the actual survival aspect. There's honestly no priority on base building or the actual survival aspect. You know, you can run into a city and find everything you need, which again is a main component of the game, so I'm not complaining, but there's no focus on survival. You run around looting and kill each other. If you die, you find more stuff instantly. It's not like you're out there trying to struggle to craft what you need, like in Rust, where you have to find components and then craft what you need by gathering materials.
I don't really like this statement because it tries to remove Unturned's uniqueness. When you try to copy other games, what point does your game become their game? Just like a carbon copy of it. And I think Unturned has a very unique gameplay system as opposed to other survival games. And I hate that people are trying to add a system that already exists in another game into Unturned.
You can literally find everything inside a town. There's no point in building a base because you can just, keep the stuff you have on you, and if you die, you can find more.
You're never going to have enough room to carry everything. And you best not be carrying your best stuff on you, because if you do die, then you're just going to lose it all to that player. And if you had like raiding gear on you, they're going to go raid other people's bases, which you could have done with the raiding gear yourself. So, no.
There's hardly any needs except food and water and infection, which you can heal by finding things, and there's no point in crafting these things when you can find all of them. Fishing is pretty much useless because what's the point of doing that when you can find food? Basically every aspect that defines a survival game is not needed. Like there's no point in any of it, and I feel like there should be a little bit more requirement to use these things in order to make it far.
I guess I understand what he means here, but like I said before, it really depends on what types of servers and what types of things you're going for. If you're going to go for a PvP server or like just base game, and yeah, you're gonna get that. But if you're gonna get like a server, let's just say like I don't know, like semi RP server that incentivizes like fishing and stuff like that, or incentivizes like gathering wood and scrap, then that's different. That's completely different. It's necessary for you to get these things to proceed.
Like for example, a good comparison is Rust, one of the most popular survival games around. They combine it perfectly. You have to PvP to get some of your items, but you would be perfectly fine staying on your own, harvesting materials, and using those to use what you need.
Rust has his own unique system. Unturned has its own unique system. This is going to be the end of the video because essentially he just restates what he already said to hit that 10-minute mark. But, basically, I wanted to make this video back in 2018, but I necessarily didn't want to because it was just like, I thought it died out already, like with people's discussions about this video. But I'm still seeing more and more people talk about this video and saying that necessarily this is the problem with Unturned, which it could be farther from the truth. It only speaks about one perspective about Unturned and one aspect of it. It doesn't necessarily consider the entire whole of Unturned, which I think is a bit misleading when it comes to him titling the video as such. But overall, I think that this was not a really good video. I wish the best for RoboKast, and that's going to be it from me. Goodbye. One last thing I want to say before I leave. If RoboKast wants to 1v1 me in Arena, I'll be 100% down to. Fight me, RoboKast, in Arena!